I'm Liz Faublas, and this is Currents. Word tonight from a Catholic parish inside Gaza that the fighting there has the faithful fearing for their lives. The missiles and bombs do not know whom they're hitting, says Father Jorge Hernandez of the Holy Family Parish in Gaza. They simply fall and destroy. The priest says the people are living in spiritual and mental torture, and the Catholic charity group Caritas has halted its work in Gaza, shutting a mobile clinic and health center because of the danger. They're reporting a severe shortage of doctors and medical supplies. Now, at the same time, 3 U.S. warships and Secretary of State Hillary Clinton are heading to the region. The ships on standby for evacuations, the Secretary in search of peace. The developments are putting a hold on Israeli ground invasion plans. Several sources are reporting that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is ordering his troops and tanks to stand fast at the Gaza border, giving Secretary Clinton the chance to forge a ceasefire, with the first step to peace being clear.
The bottom line still remains that Hamas has to stop this rocket fire. So ultimately, they're the ones who are going to have to be a part of a solution that ends the type of terror that Israeli citizens have faced over so many months with this barrage of rockets coming into Israeli territory.
The Secretary is planning several meetings, but Hamas has given no indication they are ready to stop shooting their rockets. Meantime, the head of the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon in Cairo, Egypt, trying to find a solution to the fighting. He's also holding a series of meetings. Perhaps as a result, the Israeli Foreign Ministry is confirming ceasefire negotiations are underway without giving any details. The Israeli military says preparations for an invasion of Gaza are complete. Meantime, the Air Force continues to target Hamas rockets and their launchers. In this gun camera video, an underground launcher primed to fire rockets is targeted. Now, the strike explodes the launcher, and the force of the blast sends the rockets out of their launch tubes, landing harmlessly in nearby fields. The assault on Israel by Hamas rockets is not a new story. In 2008, the same actions by Hamas led to an Israeli invasion. More than 1,400 people died. One difference this time: Egypt. The country is now run by the Muslim Brotherhood, a group that sides with the terrorists of Hamas. Another difference this time: the weapons of war.
Israeli government, defense, finance, trade, and tourism sites all among those targeted. Israel's finance minister acknowledging that it was facing cyber attacks on an unprecedented scale, with over 44 million attempts to attack and disrupt government websites. In some cases, access was denied. In other cases, hackers altered the homepage, leaving their own message behind. CNN has not independently confirmed who was behind the hacking attempts, but the group Anonymous posted a pro-Palestinian message on one of its websites. Quote, when the government of Israel publicly threatened to sever all internet and other telecommunications into and out of Gaza, they crossed a line in the sand. We are anonymous, and no one shuts down the internet on our watch. Anonymous is not a stated political ally of Hamas, but is using this as a form of civil disobedience, says one former hacker turned information security specialist.
What they do is they use a form of hacktivism, meaning they hack into sites to send a message and create media attention to what they think is of an important interest.
But cybersecurity expert Hemu Nigam says these are more than just nuisance attacks.
Each attack is designed to figure out exactly what the landscape looks like. So from an anonymous hacker perspective, what they're doing is they're attacking millions of times a day. But every time they do, they actually learn something new about the network or the landscape that they're attacking.
Most of the sites were quickly restored, but some of them are still down. And the volume of the attempted disruptions is stunning. According to Israel's Minister of Finance, there were 10 million attacks on the official website of President Shimon Peres, 7 million attacks on the website of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and 3 million attacks on the Prime Minister's official site, all in just the last few days. This is a wake-up call for many countries that cyber war is a new front. Millions of attacks can be carried out by a handful of people, with far-reaching consequences.
If you can get at the computer network that affects this, then you're really hitting the home front without having to put a person on the ground.
Israel's chief information officer says the country is fighting a three-front war: the battlefield, social media, and now cyberspace. Pope Benedict is offering words that are appropriate for the region and for people much closer to home. The Holy Father says in a world hit by natural disaster, wars, and violence, the only hope, the only stability will be found in God's Word. Up next, more on the Pope. We'll tell you about his gift to Brooklyn as Currents continues after the break. Welcome back. Pope Benedict is honoring our diocese in one of its historic churches. The Holy Father is elevating Regina Pacis Church in Dyker Heights, Brooklyn to the status of basilica. Bishop DiMarzio requested the honor last year and expressed thanks to God that it has been granted. The bishop will preside at a mass to mark the occasion on December 8th. Regina Pacis is the third church in the diocese to be elevated to the basilica. The two others are St. James Cathedral in downtown Brooklyn and Our Lady of Perpetual Help in Sunset Park. There are only 74 in the entire country. Bishop DiMarzio says the news is particularly welcome as we recover from the devastation of the hurricane. And on Fire Island, residents are finally being permitted to return to their homes. The story is familiar: devastation from the storm, but also hope, as found in this undamaged statue of our Blessed Virgin Mary. Meantime, storm damage has taken a toll on the beaches of New Jersey. On average, the beaches along the Jersey Shore each lost about 40 feet. Now, the severity of the storm damage is certain to intensify the debate over whether federal tax dollars should be spent to replenish the sand. Few relief organizations have been able to match the intensity of Catholic Charities and their work helping us all recover from Hurricane Sandy. Now, they're providing something else: a Thanksgiving for 1,000 families in our diocese.
Today we have 1,000 turkeys with all the trimmings, including pumpkin pie, mashed potatoes, vegetables, stuffing, cranberry sauce, all being handed out to the community.
The best part for me is when we're actually handing the bags to folks that have been waiting in line since 8 o'clock this morning, and to see the smile on their face as they grab the bags and leave. We wish each other a happy Thanksgiving, and it's just a terrific feeling. It really is.
That means, that means a lot to us. That means, we have somebody to depend, because we poor people, we depend on this beautiful place here once, a year and every month, for food. And especially for the holidays, it helps us a lot.
So our families that we see in our community centers, whether it be in Brooklyn or Queens, are benefiting from the donations and the purchases that we've made. And the families really have struggled throughout the year, whether it be because of unemployment issues or family illnesses, or now with Hurricane Sandy, we've really seen a lot of outpouring of need. So we're here, Catholic Charities, to help make Thanksgiving a little bit brighter for people.
We are making, Christ's message a reality. We're giving out food to the people that really need it, and we're making people really happy, because especially with this hard time of the Hurricane Sandy, many people didn't have much hope.
It helps me through the month to receive meals from Catholic Charities because I don't have a very big income.
I can only imagine with times being as difficult as they are, that for these folks to come here, wait in line, and then come away with a full Thanksgiving meal, I can only imagine what that must mean to them, to bring those meals home to their families and cook up some hot apple pie and some great turkey. And it just seems to me that it's got to be a wonderful thing for them.
I think it signifies to them that Catholic Charities is in the neighborhood, that we're in the community, and that we are reaching out and we are giving people a helping hand. Not a handout, but a helping hand. Especially in this tough economic time, this is something that is warming their tummies as well as their hearts.
When you think of Thanksgiving, it's a time of family, it's a time of gathering, and we're just providing the tools that family can gather around the table for a hot meal and enjoy each other's company and fellowship.
And coming up next on Currents, help available right here in Brooklyn for young immigrants with big dreams. After the break. Welcome back. Los Angeles Archbishop Jose Gomez is challenging Catholic families to become the first seminaries in the formation of new priests. He says the home is the best place to encourage vocations, and in this year of faith, we need to refocus ourselves to hear the call from Jesus. Archbishop Gomez and Brooklyn Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio are also leaders for the church in its ongoing efforts to achieve just and humane immigration reform in the United States. I had a chance to discuss the topic of immigration reform, specifically the DREAM Act, when I spoke earlier with Father Patrick Keating. He's the Executive Director of Catholic Migration Services right here in Brooklyn.
The first thing for us to realize is the DREAM Act technically hasn't passed Congress. A lot of people are referring to the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, sometimes called DACA, for Dreamers, because it very much relates to the legislation that failed in the Congress, but giving children or very young adults who came here as children some sort of temporary status. So it's important, I think, for people to realize that this isn't a solution, but it's a tool to help young people to not only have legal status for a period of 2 years, but also work authorization. Okay. I think that's, and there's been a lot of fear around this, because it's not a permanent solution. It's not a pathway to citizenship currently. That has to go through Congress. But what the President and the administration did when they enacted the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals in the summer was to give temporary help to the many young people who came here as children and who really didn't have a choice. And I think that's so important. When we look at immigration, it's one of those hot topics. But this piece of administrative action on the part of the federal government is to recognize that these children are here. They are being educated here. Many of them are in colleges. And how do we take them out of the shadows? We've seen so many stories over the last few months, and even before that, of young people who have excellent GPAs, yet they're not able to pursue their dreams.
Father Keating, I want to ask you really quickly, because I definitely want to finish up with the process of implementation. Sure. We saw that there was an overwhelming Hispanic support for President Obama in this last election. Do you think this is a vote of confidence among this large immigration demographic that he is going to try his best to forward a better plan for immigration services, or does this just put more pressure on him to do just that?
It's interesting, you listen to different pundits on the Sunday talk shows. What was the reaction? Was the reaction of some of the negative comments in the Republican Party? Was it the fact that it wasn't presented well? I think the fact is, going forward, there's going to have to be some sort of, if there are any sort of immigration reform, Democrats and Republicans are going to have to come together to find a compromise.
And how does the Catholic Church become involved in these types of talks?
Sure. Well, I think the Church is involved in many levels. I think first on the national level, the Bishops' Conference has been very active in just explaining the story, saying what we're for, what we're against. But it really boils down to the Church's understanding of the human person. And so any person here is a human person, and they're here to, as immigrants have for generations. So a lot of what the Church does is say we like to recognize the dignity of the human person. We also like to let people know laws change. And so often people say, well, when my grandparents came here, they came here legally. But there was different laws back at the early part of the 20th century, the late part of the 19th century. Even in the mid-20th centuries, the immigration laws have changed. So laws have continuously changed. And sometimes they're oversimplified for the talking points, but the Church is for the human person and to help them.
All right, and in the time we have left, the heart of our conversation today, the implementation of this DREAM Act throughout our diocese. We love to call ourselves the Diocese of Immigrants. We have such a diverse population of immigrants. They bring their traditions and their cultures. Explain to us, please, how we're going to help them along.
I think the Diocese of Brooklyn and Queens is blessed. There's so many people willing to help. The diocesan response is through Catholic Migration Services, where we've done a two-prong approach. First, educating people. Who's eligible? What are their rights? And also doing direct services. So there's a lot of different organizations reviewing applications, but allowing the person filing the application to take the responsibility of taking that. The approach we're doing is we've done a lot of educating. We've gone to parishes. We've partnered with even Catholic Charities when we've done some events in Brooklyn and Queens to make people aware of the services that we provide. But what we do is we say, this is the law, this is who's eligible, and if someone's eligible, we're willing to take them if they so choose as our client. We have a minimal fee of $50, so we're trying to keep it extremely low cost. And we fill out the paperwork with the client, we ensure that it's done, and we represent as their attorney. So if there's any further evidence down the road that they need to send in, let's say, a high school transcript or something that.
And those are like the key elements.
The key elements,
ask you that.
sure.
What are the key elements?
Well,
what do they need?
Sure, I think the key thing for anyone that thinks they're eligible for, they can always contact our offices. We have one in Brooklyn and Queens. But some of the key things is the young person has to be under the age of 31, had been brought to the United States before the age of 16, be in the process either in high school, have obtained a high school degree, or diploma, I should say, or be working towards a GED. In terms of criminal convictions, they can't have had a criminal conviction. There are, there's some of the statutes that if they have a misdemeanor, there's different things. So if there's any sort of encounter with law enforcement, we really would advise them to speak to an attorney or to a qualified counselor. The other thing is that they have proof, and that's so important. That's what's taking, I think, some people are getting back the transcript, so maybe going back to their grammar school or their high school, having proof that they were actually in the country, and that's really done through the education. So the one thing I do want to stress to the viewers is there's a lot of people out there doing great work. Unfortunately, there's some people that are unscrupulous, overcharging or saying anyone can apply for this. And if what we really are stressing, not only with the work we're doing, Catholic Migration Service, but some of our partners, is don't be taken advantage of. If it sounds too good to be true, just be careful. We are advising people to really have their documents reviewed.
All right, Father Keating, that's the perfect last word. Thank you so much for bringing that up. I don't think people really understand that there are some people that would take advantage of that, but Catholic Migration Service is available to help out, and we really appreciate that. Thank you for being with us. And for more of that help and information, the website for Catholic Migration Services is catholicmigration.org. The phone number for the Brooklyn office is 718-236-3000, and the phone number for the Queens office is 347-472-3500. Well, from Pakistan, the Christian teenager who had been in hiding as she faced blasphemy charges is now free. Rimsha Masih was accused of burning a Quran, a severe crime in Muslim Pakistan. The cleric whose charges led to Rimsha's arrest had in fact framed the child. Now the country's top court has dismissed the case and Rimsha is free. Groups around the world have offered her a safe place to live. She wants to stay home in Pakistan. Meanwhile, Vatican Radio reports that Christians in Syria are fleeing their homes in growing numbers as violence against them increases. The Christians are caught in the crossfire of the civil war there, being systematically assaulted by the forces on all sides of the war. The Israeli-Hamas war is at the top of the news today with intense coverage of the airstrikes in Gaza. But as we hear now from CNN's Wolf Blitzer, the attacks against Israel are just as fierce, especially in border towns such as Ashkelon.
Within minutes of arriving in this city, just a few miles from the Gaza border, the sirens went off, meaning Hamas rockets or missiles were in the air and on the way. The Israelis in this region take these warnings very seriously. They know they may have only 30 seconds before a rocket or a missile reaches the area.
We're just running inside. Sirens have just gone off.
We get into the small, secure room. Israeli soldiers and civilians are already crammed inside. They clearly have a very worried look. That's because earlier in the day, precisely at this very high school, a rocket landed. The damage is very visible. Fortunately, no one was injured.
You can see it came right through the concrete and landed at this school. This is a school here in Ashkelon, and you can see the rocket damage all the way down here.
No one was injured by the other rocket that caused us to scramble to the shelter. Israel's Iron Dome anti-missile system destroyed the rocket on the way to Ashkelon. You could see the lingering plumes of smoke in the sky.
The missiles targeted this school. This is the third time.
Benny Vaknin is the mayor of this city of more than 100,000 people. He's been living this nightmare for a long time.
Maybe 100 of traumatic wounded people, and especially children. So
when you say traumatic, because psychologically they're scared.
Of course.
Schools in this city have been closed since the latest exchange with Hamas escalated in recent days. He says he's most worried about the children who've been traumatized by the sirens and the explosions. This shelter is designed for the children, many of whom sleep here. We drive over to a residential area of Ashkelon where a rocket had landed the day before.
We're here in a quiet residential neighborhood in Ashkelon, but you can see it wasn't so quiet yesterday. One of the rockets hit this area over here. If you go over there, you can see the damage over that garage area. The rocket apparently came right in there. But then, fortunately, everyone in this neighborhood had gone into their shelters, their closed rooms, and but you could see some of the shrapnel reaching all the way across the street over here to this house over here. This was one of the safe rooms, actually, in this house, but there was no damage inside.
The owner of this home was at work at his office, but his wife was inside the house. He says she ran into their secure safe room and is okay. Ashkelon is eerie right now. The cafes and shops along the Mediterranean beach are pretty much empty.
The many people, they left the town. The many people just don't want to go outside because it's dangerous.
Like many of the residents we spoke to, he was not very optimistic about the immediate future.
We're here along the beach in Ashkelon. Normally this place would be lively. It's a lovely day. The sun is just beginning to go down right now. We're watching what's going on. It's empty. This whole area pretty much is desolate. The Israelis are staying inside their homes. They're not going out to coffee shops. They're not going out to theaters, at least in this area, at least for the last few days, because of the pounding, the rockets that have been coming in, that Iron Dome, that thud that you hear all the time over the sky. And you realize that not far away, only a few kilometers from here, is Gaza, a densely populated area right along this same Mediterranean. You know, my own sense is this could be such a wonderful area if they could just achieve some real peace between the Israelis and the Palestinians, but obviously that's going to have to wait, at least for now.
But for now, there's a very deep silence on this beach, unlike what we heard earlier in the day.
CNN's Wolf Blitzer in Israel. Up next, the Obama administration gets a stop order from the court, and the priests get a dress code from the Vatican as Currents continues. Look sharp. A memo from the Vatican Secretary of State is reminding priests, bishops, and cardinals who work at the Holy See that they should dress properly. They are being told to wear cassocks during office hours so that they may be recognized not only by their conduct, but also by their clothing. The Obama administration is being told to stop enforcing the HHS mandate against a Bible publisher. A federal judge in Washington says the mandate would force Tyndale Publishers to violate its religious beliefs by requiring the company to pay for abortion-causing drugs and is therefore illegal. Ultimately, the mandate will go before the U.S. Supreme Court. And finally tonight, Bishop DiMarzio is in Forest Hills, Queens to lead the celebration of a magical milestone.
Today we're at Our Lady Queen of Martyrs Church in Forest Hills. We're celebrating the 100th anniversary of the parish, which is a joyous occasion for any parish, and certainly today has been a wonderful day, a beautiful liturgy that we've celebrated.
We must say a word of congratulations and appreciation and respect for Monsignor McLaughlin, who was the very first pastor, and he came in 1917 and had a plan in his mind to build a beautiful church and school and rectory and convent that we enjoy today.
Today we come to look back, to recognize that we stand on the shoulders of those who had great faith, and recognizing that there was a need in the developing part of Queens in those days for a suitable place of worship. Very few parishes have the altar service that they have here. I think today at the Mass I counted about 30, and that's kind of unique.
It's truly a gift to be here and to be part of this community.
The granddaughter of the woman that hosted the first Mass is still a parishioner, and we're grateful for all the parishioners that have been here over the past century to make the beautiful church that we have and that we enjoy and that we pray in part of our lives.
I've been around for a while, a number of parishes. I've moved a couple of times, and this parish, the people are really here for each other. It's a wonderful feeling, and I've never had it before until I got here.
The demographic has changed, which is wonderful. We have more and more new people coming from countries, and it contributes tremendously to the makeup of the parish.
I hope that our children in religious education as well as the school can become more involved in activities and spread the good word to other areas of our country.
I think one of the most unique elements of this parish is the cooperation and generosity and the constant awareness that we're working together. We do everything together.
Bishop Sanchez was our leader, and Monsignor Fanaro, two great people to bring our church to 100 years and beyond.
I hope that we can continue to be vibrant and alive and continue to give glory to God and truly draw from the strength of the Holy Spirit to be a great testimony, a witness of faith.
And that is all for tonight. Be sure to join us on Wednesday, preparing for Thanksgiving Day. We'll attend a special interfaith ceremony. Until then, visit us online at currentsny.net. For all of us here at Currents, I'm Liz Faubles. Thank you for watching, and have a good night.